Hello everyone, this is Kona, and thank you for tuning in to another video. So today I'd like to talk about an issue that's popped up in Overwatch, and that's regarding Quickplay. Now, as many of you know, I play pubs or casuals in TF2, that's all I play, and I don't really play to win, I mainly just play to have some fun. Now, carrying this mentality over to Overwatch has been very difficult for me, and I'd like to talk about why that is. So Overwatch has something called Quickplay, which is its matchmaking system for casuals. It tries to match you up with people who are about your skill level using a hidden MMR to make games more fair. But you can stack your team with the same hero, so if you want to go 6 Meis, by all means you can. I just don't know if the enemy team will be able to handle that much salt. Now, competitive mode is almost the same, but with some changes. First off, there's a 1 hero limit on your team, so there's no hero stacking. King of the Hill is played as a best out of 5 instead of a best out of 3, and for game modes that have an attacking and defending side, each team gets to take their chance to do both to determine who wins. If you push the payload further or you cap more points faster than the other team, then you win the match. So what's wrong with Quickplay, you might ask? It seems fine, right? Well, yes, it's great, but I think some of the negative experiences people are having in Quickplay stem from the fact that there's a large spectrum of mindsets or mentalities that people have when it comes to Quickplay. On one side of the spectrum, you have people who want to just kind of fool around and don't really care about winning. They do their own thing, not really caring how they fit in with the team. They just want to shoot people, maybe troll around, and goof off. Then on the other side of the spectrum, you have people who really want to win and work together. They think about the game as a whole. They think about team composition and trying to figure out how to change it if it isn't working. Now, it would be easy to just say, okay, if you play the game to fool around, go play quick play, and if you play the game to win, then play competitive. But it's not that easy. It's not all black and white. People play a certain playlist for their own reasons, and sometimes it's hard to get everyone on the same page. Overwatch is a game that is highly dependent on working together as a team of 6, and if one person decides to just troll around, it can affect the playing experience of the other 5 on their team. Unfortunately, that's just kind of how the way the game is. Now, some people are saying that Quickplay is a little bit too casual, that no one really plays it seriously, so it's hard to get a full team to work together. You know, there are people who try to make the game into a friendly match where no one kills anyone, or people troll by putting a Symmetra teleporter near a cliff, or maybe they stack heroes hoping that they'll just overwhelm the enemy and they don't know what to do when 6 Reinhardts charge at them. You know those guys, right? Now, I personally don't have a problem with these kinds of things happening in Quickplay, but if someone who wants to win and work together as a team tries to do so in that kind of environment, they are not going to have a good time. They may get upset and frustrated and then start lashing out at their teammates. Now, the common response to this type of behavior is, oh, it's only Quickplay, and, well, if you want to win so bad, why don't you just play competitive? Now, in response to this, the people who are trying to win in Quickplay might say, oh, competitive is too stressful, or you're not playing the game the way it's meant to be played. You can kind of see now how this can be a problem. So what can be done to solve this problem? Well, it's very tough and there's probably not going to be an easy answer, but some have suggested that Blizzard should make another playlist that is sort of in between Quickplay and competitive, a sort of middle ground where people can play as a team but without the stresses of ranking, kind of like a competitive simulator or an unranked mode. They've suggested that in this new playlist, they enforce a 1 hero limit, just like in competitive, to avoid hero stacking, but also remove the publicly known ranks so that there's less pressure. But there can be some challenges when implementing something like this. First off is the idea of splitting up the player base. We already have Quickplay, Competitive, and Brawl for matchmaking, and adding another one would increase queue times for players since there's lots of parameters that need to be taken into consideration when matchmaking, like a player's preferred playlist, their region, ping, skill level, group size, and so on. Now, while this might solve the problem of hero stacking, for anyone who's played or watched Overwatch at some competitive level, you'll know that it's all about team composition. I don't know if this new unranked mode will solve the 5 DPS and 1 healer problem that's in Quickplay right now, because there's lots of DPS to choose from, and let's be honest, DPS are kind of like the star players on the team. Lots of people want to play them because they get the kills. And unfortunately, a team of DPS heroes are most likely going to lose against a more balanced composition like a 2-2-2 with tanks. Now, regular competitive mode has a rank that acts as an incentive to win, which in turn forces teams to come up with winning strategies. If there's no drive to win in this new unranked mode, Will people switch off of heroes if it's not working? Are they willing to do that? Or are they just going to make excuses like, oh, it's just unranked, you don't have to get so mad? Also, what if you don't get to pick the hero you want to practice, if you're considering this kind of like a competitive simulator or competitive practice? Maybe you want to get better at Genji in a competitive setting, but so do a lot of other people. They want to do that too. Are you going to get mad if you don't get to pick your favorite hero? What about the rules for this unranked mode? Okay, so people don't want hero stacking, I get it, that's fine, but how do you determine who wins or loses? Now, if you're playing an attack-defend type of game mode, is the winner determined by a single round? If so, doesn't that seem kind of unfair? Because maybe the outcome will be different if the attackers and defenders switch sides. Now, if each team does get a chance to attack and defend, that will lead to longer matches, but some people might not want that in a semi-casual, semi-competitive playlist. Maybe they want the freedom to leave whenever they want. Speaking of leaving, how are you going to punish leavers in this new playlist? You already get an XP punishment if you leave too many times in Quickplay, and if you leave too many times in competitive, you get that and more. You basically can't queue up for competitive for a certain amount of time. So if this is a middle ground, how would the punishment for leavers work? What about incentives? Why would someone want to play this playlist? Besides just, quote, working as a team, are there going to be like any in-game rewards for this? Now you can theoretically gain more XP per hour in quick play, and competitive mode has those golden weapons that can only be purchased with competitive credits. Will there be any sort of reward for this playlist? What does this playlist have to offer? There's lots of things that need to be considered when doing something like this, which is probably why Blizzard hasn't done it already. I'm not saying that it's impossible, I'm just saying it's a little bit tougher than I think people think. Now, for me personally, I was in this exact situation where I got upset when people trolled in Quickplay, and I got so worried about losing my rank in competitive that I avoided it after reaching my personal high, which is only gold at 2300, about 2300. I know it kind of sucks, but that's okay. That just means I have a lot to improve on. Now, since there's no official solution to this problem by Blizzard, I realized that in the meantime, I'm going to have to come up with my own solution to this. And it actually came down to my mentality. I needed to sort of reframe my mentality about Overwatch so that I can enjoy both quick play and competitive. Now for quick play, yes, there will be trolls and players who don't want to cooperate, but honestly, I have no right to really say, hey, your way of playing the game, your way of having fun doesn't match my way, therefore you're wrong. I can't really say that. I let people have fun in their own way because they bought the game, just like me. Now, I mainly use quick play to practice with heroes that I'm not familiar with so that I can maybe use them in competitive. I learn how to utilize each kit and how it interacts with the other mechanics in the game. Then in competitive, that's where I try to win, but I don't let losses get me down. This is the hardest thing that I have to get used to. Overwatch is my very first competitive game that I'm actually trying to play, and I didn't really know how to handle it mentally. But I realized that because of matchmaking, my win rate should be around 50%, maybe a little bit higher and lower depending if I'm climbing or falling, but around 50%. If that's the case, should I get mad and tilted and hate my life every time I lose? Can I only have fun if I win? Well, of course not. If that were the case, then I would only be having fun 50% of the time. That sounds silly, right? Why not enjoy myself 100% of the time when I play games? That sounds like a much better experience. The reason why I like to play competitive is to communicate and work together as a team, and as long as we're doing that, no matter how good they are, no matter if we're winning or we're losing, I am perfectly fine with that. I would much rather play with someone who is actively trying to figure out what's going wrong and who's maybe willing to switch off of heroes in order to make the team composition better. I'd rather play with someone like that than someone who just insta-locks their favorite DPS hero at the start and then refuses to switch even though it may not be working. Now I know ranking is very important for a lot of people out there, but I realize that, for me, in order to enjoy competitive right now, I can't worry about my rank. In fact, I don't even look at it. I don't even care about it, honestly. I know it's low, 2300, whatever, but I honestly don't really care about my rank because if I have fun during the game, if we work together as a team, win or lose, as long as that happens, I think it was well worth it. Now, I personally look to improve myself not by looking at some number, but by saying, well, did I learn something that match? Did I feel confident in myself that I did well If not, was I smart enough to realize that stuff wasn't working out, and did I switch heroes? And, you know, did the new heroes work out? I look at stuff like that and feel like, okay, well, yeah, that was well worth it. I don't need a number to tell me if I'm getting better or worse. I mean, it is a way, I guess, a metric, you know, of measuring, quote, skill, but I don't obsess over this number and let that determine if I'm gonna have a good time in Overwatch or not. So those are some of my thoughts on this, quote, quick play problem in Overwatch. But what about you? How do you enjoy quick play, and do you have any problems with it? And if so, what would you change about it? You know, if there was this new unranked playlist, how would you implement it? Let me know in the comments below. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.